People think silence is peaceful. They've clearly never lived inside mine. Silence can choke you, press against your chest until you forget what it's like to breathe freely. That was me, the quiet girl no one noticed in a small American town, until the day she walked into my classroom with a guitar slung across her shoulder and a smile that carried storms. Her name was Evelyn Hart, the new music teacher. From the first moment I saw her, everything inside me shifted. She wasn't like the other teachers who lectured and left. She had this energy like she carried a whole world of melodies under her skin, and she made you feel like she could hear the song you never dared to play out loud. And me? I was just Lena Carter, the invisible one, too afraid to even admit what my heart wanted. At 17, I thought I had already figured out my fate. Graduate, escape the town, maybe learn how to exist without feeling like a ghost. But Evelyn made existing unbearable because suddenly I wanted more. I wanted to be seen, to be known. And when her eyes landed on me, when she asked me to stay after class to help organize sheet music, I realized my silence was about to be shattered. The first time she touched my hand, it wasn't deliberate. Just a brush of fingers as we reached for the same paper. But I felt it everywhere. My heart slammed against my ribs, my face burned, and I knew God. I knew that something inside me had already surrendered. She pulled back quickly, a flicker of awareness in her eyes, and for a moment, it felt like she was just as shaken. Weeks passed and our moments multiplied. Private lessons after school, laughter spilling out when she teased me about my clumsy piano playing, the way she leaned closer when showing me how to press the keys more gently. I memorized every detail. The soft curve of her smile, the tiny scar near her temple, the scent of vanilla and coffee that lingered on her clothes. But desire has sharp edges and reality always cuts. Rumors started to swirl in the hallways, whispers about why Miss Hart spent so much time with me. Friends looked at me differently. One afternoon, my best friend cornered me in the cafeteria, her voice sharp as glass. "Are you in love with her?" I froze. Love. The word felt like both a crime and a salvation. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat by my window, staring at the cracked sidewalks of my neighborhood, wondering if the universe had made a mistake giving me this heart that beat for someone it wasn't supposed to. I thought about Evelyn's eyes, about the way she believed in me when no one else did, and I whispered into the dark, "Yes, I am." But Evelyn was older, a teacher, bound by rules and the suffocating morality of a small town. She tried to resist. I saw it in the way she sometimes avoided my gaze, the way her laughter stopped too suddenly, as if she caught herself drifting too close. It was torture, this push and pull. The harder I tried to let go, the more my heart clung. One evening after rehearsal for the school choir, I stayed behind, pretending to look for my bag. The classroom was quiet, bathed in the soft glow of twilight. Evelyn was packing her things when she caught me staring. "Lena," she said softly, almost a warning. I don't know what possessed me, but I stepped forward, words tumbling out before I could stop them. "You make me feel alive. And I don't know what to do with it." Her face changed, pain, fear, longing all tangled together. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then whispered, "This isn't fair to you. Or to me." The silence between us throbbed with everything we couldn't say. My eyes burned, my chest ached, but I forced myself to nod. Maybe she was right. Maybe wanting her was the cruelest thing I could do to both of us. Yet as I turned to leave, she caught my wrist. Just for a second. Her grip was firm, trembling, and when I looked back, her eyes were glassy with tears. "Don't think for a second that you're invisible," she whispered. "You're not. You never were." That night I cried until dawn. Because in those words I heard everything she couldn't say out loud. The days after that moment were the hardest. Evelyn and I kept our distance in public, but our silence felt heavier than the rumors. In class, she treated me like everyone else. Yet when our eyes accidentally met, I could feel the whole world tilting, daring me to fall. I thought maybe that was a tour story ending before it even began. But love doesn't dissolve just because it's inconvenient. It lingers, it claws, it burns. And soon I found myself walking the long way home, passing the small coffee shop where she sometimes sat after work. One evening I saw her through the glass, hunched over sheet music, her hair falling loosely around her face. I should have walked away. Instead I pushed the door open. She looked up, startled, then softened. "Lena." I slid into the seat across from her, heart hammering. I can't pretend anymore, I whispered. Her lips parted as if to argue, but instead she closed her eyes, exhaling slowly. Do you know what it costs me to care for you like this? I swallowed hard. Do you know what it costs me not to? For a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. Then something inside her broke. She reached across the table and took my hand, her thumb brushing lightly against my skin. It was reckless, dangerous, but it was also the most honest thing either of us had done. We began to carve out secret pieces of time together. Late-night walks under the quiet hum of street lamps, stolen minutes in the music room where the piano became our confessional. She would play soft melodies and I'd sit beside her, listening, memorizing the rhythm of her presence. I was terrified of being caught, of losing her. Yet the fear only made the moments sharper, more alive. But secrets have a way of clawing out into the open. One evening, as we lingered too long in the classroom, the door creaked, and the principal stepped inside. Evelyn pulled her hand away so fast it hurt. His eyes flicked between us, suspicion heavy in the air. He said nothing then, but the next day Evelyn was called into the office, and whispers flooded the halls louder than ever. I panicked. What if she lost her job because of me? What if I was nothing more than a mistake she regretted? That night, I found her sitting on the bleachers of the empty football field, staring at the stars like they held the answers she couldn't reach. They're watching us, I said, voice shaking. Maybe we should stop before everything gets worse. She looked at me, her eyes shining in the moonlight. If stopping meant I could erase what I feel, maybe I'd try. But I can't. Lena, you've become the song I didn't know I was waiting to hear. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to run into her arms, but fear still clung to me. What if we ruin everything? She shook her head, determination hardening her voice. Then we ruin it together. That night, under the vast American sky, we kissed for the first time. It wasn't perfect, it was trembling, tear-streaked, desperate, but it was real. Every note of her mouth against mine was a promise. Every heartbeat a confession we could no longer deny. From then on, life was not easier, but it was fuller. People talked, eyes followed us, but we stopped hiding who we were when we were together. Evelyn didn't lose her job, though the tension with the administration lingered like a shadow. I braced myself for the judgment, the stares, the weight of being different in a place that feared difference. But every time I faltered, Evelyn's hand found mine, steady and warm, reminding me that love was worth the storm. Months passed. I turned 18, the town still small and narrow-minded, but my world felt bigger. Evelyn and I began to dream aloud, college applications, music festivals in cities where no one knew our names, a future carved out of courage and defiance. One evening, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. It was simple pasta, cheap wine, music drifting from an old record player, but it felt like the beginning of everything. After we ate, she pulled out her guitar and sang softly, her voice wrapping around me like a lullaby. I leaned against her, eyes closed, breathing her in. For the first time in years, silence felt safe, not suffocating. I realized then that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect circumstances. It was about choosing each other, over and over, even when the world told us not to. Looking back now, I can see how close I came to letting fear dictate my life. But Evelyn taught me that silence isn't peace, it's absence. And when someone finally fills that absence with music, with laughter, with love, you don't let go. So yes, people still whisper. Some friends walked away. My parents struggled to understand. But when Evelyn smiles at me, when she touches my hand like it's the most natural thing in the world, none of it matters. Because my silent life became alive the moment she touched my heart. And I will never let that music fade. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.